On today's Two Limes and a Lemon podcast, we continue our deep dive into the dark world of dystopian films with our It's the End of the World as We Know It series. This week, we discuss a late 90s cult classic that presents a dystopian city under the control of a hive mind nemesis, but humanity's ray of hope lies in the hands of one man with the power to overcome the nefarious foes. So join us as we discuss 1998's Dark City. Are we having theme music? Like, how do we... Is it just start with us talking?
Yeah, Dave's gonna do us some, like, a jingle, I think.
Dave.
Nah.
Danielle.
Two limes and a lemon.
Hi, and welcome to this week's Two Limes and a Lemon podcast. I'm Danielle. I'll be hosting this week, and joined with me, as always, are my two friends, Nat and Dave. You want to say hi, guys?
Hi, guys.
Hello.
We're going to start out, as we always do in these podcasts, with a little bit of our consuming, what we've been doing for the week. This can be movie, films, books, or even food. So let's start out with Dave. Dave, what have you been consuming for the week?
I watched the film Obsession.
Ooh,
yes. I'm part of the media outburst of this film. Obsession. It's really good. I am on the bandwagon of yet again another low budget film being made, and everyone's loving it. So, Obsession.
I've not
It's a stupid premise. That's the thing. The premise is like, this is stupid, it's not going to work, but it does. It's about a guy who's like in love with this colleague at work, and he just doesn't have the courage to say, I like you. One evening they all go out and he takes her home, but before seeing her, he buys like a little willow stick that if you break it and make a wish, it comes true. That's the Goosebumps bit of the film.
Weapons.
Yeah, he breaks. Yeah, I know, right? It's all full circle. He breaks the stick and says, "I really wish that I can't remember her name, but will fall in love with me and be obsessed. Not obsessed, but will be really in love with me." Mm-hmm. And then, like, from that moment, she twists, her character completely changes, and she's like, yeah, obsessed with this guy. But I really enjoyed it. It's a mad film. Yeah, it's lots of fun. It's just like, do you know, that's sort of like
scary.
It's not. I didn't find it scary. It's weird and creepy. Like, the actress does all this sort of walking around creepy, like holding stuff over her face and walking past. It's quite funny. It's funny and scary at the same time. So if you get a moment or a chance to see it when it gets on streaming services, then check it out.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good, like, smaller horror out right now. The Obsession is one of those that's been on my radar. The other one is Hokum, which I think just went out of theaters here. It's done by the same guy that did Oddity.
Yeah,
last year before.
So
I remember seeing the trailer for Hokum because I was like, I remember that name being odd.
Nat, what have you been up to?
Not too much. Dreamlight Valley just had an update where we got Hercules and Phil. So
you mean Huncules? Anyway.
Yeah, so Hercules
is that what wait. Is that what the characters like?
Yeah, that was a bit there.
That's inside joke. It's not inside joke, it's from the movie.
Tell me more about this Hercules character. No, I thought it was maybe what he, like Dreamlight Valley, they run around and they just like say the same things over and over again.
Oh yeah.
I thought maybe that was his catchphrase that.
No, it's not. I don't even know. But to be fair, I haven't even spent enough time with Hercules to know what his catchphrase is. It's not like Minnie, who walks around being like, "Remember, I love you."
Oh, the rain's gonna. She loves the rain as well. She's like, the rain's gonna be perfect for the flowers. I'm like, Minnie, it's not even raining. Like, stop.
So I've literally been playing that, I suppose, because there's like a new star path to go through. There's new rooms in the museums to fill up with bits.
But also, you should give a plug to your YouTube channel. Something that both of you guys like in games that you really take advantage of in Dreamlight Valley is the decoration, like getting things and decorating. And you do sort of tours of your world.
I do some tours of my valley on Cozy Lime Gaming, which you can find on YouTube. So, yeah, shameless plug to that.
And even if you're not into gaming, it's nice and relaxing to watch Natalie lead you through the cozily decorated Greenlight Valley.
Well, hopefully be grounded soon, won't it? We'll start decorating.
Yeah,
grounded.
we just started Grounded as well. Yeah, I could have done that as my consuming. So that's on the PS Extra. Has just come out, Grounded, which is like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in the garden, basically. But you can do some base building and things and fight spiders and ants, which the spiders are no joke. They are terrifyingly hard.
Climb a
Are
tree.
they like the Lost in Space spiders?
No, they are
much
massive.
bigger. You're about the size of like, I don't know, you're just tiny, aren't you? Like a button.
Yeah.
Like
You're the size of a tadpole.
No, tadpoles are bigger than you, I reckon.
No, I reckon lengthwise they were about the same.
Smaller than the brownies in Willow.
Yes.
Very.
There we go.
Is it small? Is SMOL small?
Small.
Yeah, that's that kind of small is small. That's small.
What have you been up to, Danielle?
I've also been playing a game these last couple of days. This one is on Steam, and it's called Librarian. Tidy up the arcane library.
Oh, no. I know this one.
33,000 books or whatever it is, isn't it? Or is it 3,000?
It's a little over 3,000. So the premise of this, if you can call it a premise at all, is there's old-timey looking library that a fairy has gotten loose into and thrown all the books off of the shelves. And so it is your duty to reshelve all of the books properly. It's not just put all the books on the shelf. You have to get them in the right... There's different sections. There's 400 shelves, and you have to put them back up. Now, I bought this game a few weeks ago because it was like $5 on Steam. I don't know if it's still that cost, but I was like, oh, this seems like a power wash simulator type of thing where I can listen to something else and just mindlessly do this. But I started the game, and after the tutorial, it's so overwhelming because there's just so many books and you're like, where do I even start with this?
But don't you get spells to help you later on?
Yeah, right? Yeah. Well, I realized that late in the game.
She's doing
Friday
it all
night,
by hand.
I was at first. You can make it the game that you want. Like, if you really want to, like, if it relaxes you to, like, spend, 100 hours going hand by hand and running around the library to find these books, you could do that.
You could do, yeah.
Or recommended it. It's not like a high thought or action game by any means.
Yeah, no.
If you like this sort of game, you'll like this sort of game. Let's move on to this week's film, my choice, which is the 1998 neo-noir sci-fi film Dark City. This is a forgotten cult classic from the mind of Alex Proyas, who was best known for the early 90s adaptation of The Crow. The synopsis is, John Murdoch, played by a dark and brooding Rufus Sewell, wakes in a strange hotel room with a dead woman. Murdoch attempts to figure out what's happening, first to himself and then to everyone in the city at large, all the while being pursued by a number of people. This includes his wife, Emma, played by Jennifer Connelly, a deadpan police detective, played by William Hurt, squinty-eyed doctor with a low lung capacity, played by Kiefer Sutherland, and a mysterious group of bald men in long trench coats and hats called the Strangers, the most notable one being played by Richard O'Brien. Mixing classic noir mystery with sci-fi, Murdoch wanders around the city trying to piece together the mystery, aided by the fact that he seems to have picked up some of the Stranger's powers, which make him basically the Neo of this dystopian tale. So, as we always do with these films, I wanted to find out, Nat and Dave, have you heard or watched this film before?
No, on both counts. I've neither heard of it nor seen it before.
No, never heard
Dave?
of it. Don't know what it was. Still don't know what it was.
I saw this when it came out, and I think it was one of those that I was very intrigued by the trailer. It all looked very strange and what's going on about it. I watched it on my own DVD that I had bought at the time, which unfortunately ended up being the theatrical cut, which I've learned since researching for the pod, that the director was not so happy with some of the changes he had to make for the theatrical cut. For the 2008 director's cut, he got rid of he made several changes that he didn't want to make originally, as well as updating the effects a little bit.
Well, I know one of the changes that he made was Jennifer Connelly's like a soul singer in a club, and the original one she was dubbed over with another singer, and then in this one it was her original vocals. Which you said that your one that you watched, the singing was bad, and then in this one we were watching, we were like, oh, this isn't very good. So that doesn't seem to have been much of a change. But the effects, I'm going to be honest, right? This movie is called The Dark City. Emphasis on the dark. Like, it's so dark that you can barely see any of the effects that are even in the movie. So I couldn't even say whether the effects were good or not, because I don't know if it's just because we watched it at Dave's house and he ain't got no curtains and we watched it in the day, but it was very hard to see anything.
I mean, like, a film should be adaptable for any environment. If you're watching it, even if it's a dark film, you should still be able to see what's happening.
But home viewing, I don't think theatrical films, at least at this time, were really thinking about crappy, home setups. Like I remember,
okay, I'm sorry.
I was getting to something that wasn't a knock on your lack of curtains. When I was a kid, I remember we had such an issue with movies like the Tim Burton Batman and because you didn't have digital TVs back then, and I remember we couldn't see anything on like the old
shiny screen, like glass screens, yeah.
TVs, and it was so hard because so many of these movies in the 90s were so literally dark, and you'd have to like mess with the controls to be able to see what was going on. I remember most notably the Batman one because my mother was complaining about it the whole time we watched it.
I'm one of them people that, like in games at the beginning, it's like, oh, move the slider till you can barely see like something on the left hand side. I'm like whacking it way past where they say, because I hate it when you like, why is this game so dark? Like
the gamma is all the way
the whole time.
Yeah. For me, I couldn't even really tell you if the visual effects were better.
Rufus Sewell's character gets these powers that the strangers have, and there's this like
a ripple effect when it comes out of his forehead. Yeah. No, that was very typical of like the 90s, like CG. It looked very much like a TV show sort of effect.
Staring at each other, just going like you angry stare with weird swirly effects. It's very like Stargate kind of style.
Yes, yeah.
You take that back.
I guess
fucking horrible. No, we're all dishing out insults today.
I didn't complain about your crappy setup.
You didn't defend it, did you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You let her walk all over my house.
You did have a tone when you said that Dave doesn't have curtains.
Yeah.
The other thing they cut was the studio made him put a voiceover at the start, which was the doctor kind of setting up what was happening. Mm-hmm. And his argument was it was supposed to be the film of, like, we were supposed to let Rufus Sewell's character be the main voice in it. And that sort of took away from that.
You don't usually get the antagonist doing the opening narration of a movie that he's not even in all the time.
Start off with, like, I think I am a fan of noir. I like watching old noir movies. Do either of you have sort of feelings about this genre?
I wouldn't say I particularly watch old noir movies, but I remember when we were watching it, we did note, like, it's got a very Sin City vibe to it. But I wouldn't say, like... It's funny because when I was doing stuff at college for media, we did a whole film noir case study sort of thing. And I think that might have ruined it for me a little bit because, like, when you overanalyze something too much, you then start to hate the thing. So that might be what it was for me.
Dave, do you have an opinion on noir?
I feel like it's a fun trope, but not enough for me to be engaged for like an hour and a half. Short film, maybe photos. I can look at photos. Like that Spider Noir that's coming out. I've got no interest in seeing that at all. It's just a lot of... Because the tropes are there. There's nothing new. You know them. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel this film might have been better in black and white thinking back. But I don't know.
As far as that Spider Noir, I'm also not super interested, but also the Nick Cage of it all. I'm like, oh, maybe that'll be fun to watch because he's a wild card.
But no, noir itself, I don't know. I guess it's like, I reckon it's fun to do as a creative. Like, oh, I'm going to get the blinds and have the light piercing through that, and really look at the shadows and the contrast of lighting. But sitting down and watching someone's noir film is different probably from making it, because I'll just be like,
I just thought of a noir film I do like.
on them.
I like the 90s movie The Shadow.
Oh no, with Liam Neeson.
Alec Baldwin. No, Alec Baldwin.
Oh, I thought it was Liam Neeson.
But that's very film noir in its style. So maybe there's hope for me yet.
I mean, I think noir, I think, comes down to a lot of some of the themes that I've brought up of things that I tend to like, which are like a preference of style sometimes over the substance of it. And I think the look and feel of a noir is very
it's very gritty,
indicative.
isn't it?
Yeah, like I could go to a gallery, I think, and look at some noir photos, but I don't want to see a video of it. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
but I'll stick
I get
to
what
it.
you mean. The art of it's very like striking.
So noirs generally, not exclusively, if we're thinking of like noir films, etc., are generally mysteries, and which this film does have a mystery. One could say there are a couple, like there's several mysteries in here. And I think that's also a trope of noirs. Like the mystery itself gets kind of confusing. Like there's a lot of red herrings in this case. We've got these cult murders that we're not sure. Like he wakes up with a dead girl and she's got these blood swirls on her. What does that really have to do with anything? And it sort of confuses the issue further. But in this one, it's physically compounded also by the fact that characters and the actual city itself is changing. So you can't, like within each nighttime iteration, even if somebody is figuring out if John Murdoch were figuring out the mystery, the stakes aren't even. Like he's never going to be able to really figure it out in a conventional sense. Did people like the mystery of it?
I just didn't think I was engaged with it. It was just too dark. I couldn't see it. I didn't like the doctor character, was too unbelievably like, and he annoyed me. And because of all those bald men, and they're like, I don't know what they're doing. I didn't know what everyone's plan was. But I ended the film not knowing what was the goal of it. I didn't know everybody's goals, so that's why I just couldn't get into it.
So you don't know why the bald men were trying to have like this perpetual night city sort of thing?
No, I had no idea. I had no idea everyone's goals. And I will have to be told by you guys because I couldn't work it out.
What were their goals, Danielle?
Because Nat doesn't know either.
No, I got a gist of it, but I don't know it as well as I should, probably.
The Nightmen wanted to understand humanity. Basically, we're led to believe there's some sort of alien race that has kidnapped humans and put them on this artificial world of the Dark City. So we learn at the end that the city is isolated by itself, and they are constantly doing these experiments to further understand humanity. And so that's where the doctor character comes in. He's convinced them that they need some sort of scientist to help them with this endeavor. And somehow or another, they don't quite explain how, they've got different aspects like of character. And he mixes together, like he's essentially the writer of this full city, because he's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And
then they inject them while they're all sleeping, like a new storyline.
And so the reason that we have the murder mystery is because this was something that was injected into John Murdoch. So
they wanted to study humans or find out about us. Couldn't they just ask? just come.
When has that ever worked for aliens in movies?
They could have just come down and said, look guys, we've got all this fancy technology, but we're dying and we need some help. Instead, that they just make it that I would have been like, yeah, let's just kill the aliens. They're too complex and confusing. They're not just explaining what they want. So they must be evil. But Yeah, I didn't.
Well, they're also vampires. They've got a very vampire aesthetic going on.
They can fly.
I think they have the vampire aesthetic because they're in dead bodies.
Are
Mr.
they?
Hand at one point said we use your husks to survive. And so I think that's why the skin is very pale. They're all bald. They all have very sunken in eyes.
I said that they look like rejects from Dune. They're like, is it the Harkonnens that are like that race where everyone's like bald and they're really pale?
But I thought that they were, again, I like this film, so there's that caveat to it. But I thought that they were an interesting looking villain, and you never quite know what's going on with them. And then we get this interesting switch whenever Mr. Hand gets, like, basically has the doctor inject in the John Murdoch memories into him, and he can't quite handle having a soul, essentially. Like, humanity is too complex for him to really understand, and ultimately, like, it kills him because he can't.
Mm-hmm.
Another trope is the femme fatale. So we've got Jennifer Connelly in here. I think generally a femme fatale is going to lead the protagonist to danger, but I think maybe just
I wouldn't have
appearance.
said she was the femme fatale. I'd have said that the femme fatale was the girl that leads him to her apartment, and then he sees that she has a kid, and then he leaves.
Oh, yeah. I thought she was more of a red herring because it was part of that mystery that doesn't end up mattering.
The Jennifer Connelly character, was it Emma? She didn't really lead him into danger as such. If anything, she was trying to get him out of the danger all the time, and she believed in him and was trying to like say to the William Hurt detective character, like, no, he hasn't done any of this stuff. And like, I don't know, I feel like the typical femme fatale character is more like wrapped up in like a wrongdoing sort of side of things.
No, I agree. I think appearance wise she looks like a femme fatale in this. I think she's got, the appearance down. But as we mentioned before, she's a nightclub singer, and in thinking in retrospect, I think it works that she doesn't sing very well, or the one that they originally had dubbed, because they're just being injected with these memories. So she's not naturally a singer. She's just somebody who's been made to be a singer. And maybe she's more cut out for being the ticket taker at the theater at the end when she becomes Anna.
No, one thing I did like with her, and I think I read that this scene isn't even in the original like theatrical cut, is when she first goes to report that Rufus Sewell's like missing to William Hurt, she's like fiddling with her ring, and he's like, oh, like, how long have you been married? Like, are you newly married? And she's like, no, we've been married 4 years. And he's like, oh, because you keep fiddling with your ring like it's new. And that's meant to like imply that because obviously she isn't actually married to Rufus Sewell, and it might have just been done like 2 days ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's why she's subconsciously fiddling with her ring. Was that in your one?
I didn't notice that, and I don't know if it was just, sometimes I know you and I get a little bit excited about note-taking during these films. Tend to look down sometimes and miss a few things. But I thought it was interesting with her character that even though possibly they've just had this memory implanted, there is sort of this innate love connection between the two characters, so that once everything happens, in the end, they connect again. There's the potential that living in this new, brighter future that Rufus Sewell has created, but primarily by putting a beach and daylight in the world.
Yeah, daylight was the thing that movie needed. If you had Rufus Sewell's power, what little like little bubble would you make for yourself to live out the rest of your days in this floating city? And
I don't know. I think I would want some sort of rural, like, that I could live in nature, but because I'm creating it, like, it'd be abnormally easy to get to urban area where I could do things. How about yourself?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Like somewhere in like the middle of the woods. I don't think I would do well in like a big like urban city environment like they're living in. Like, you need a bit of nature, and there is like nothing like, obviously, like you see like New York, and you've got at least Central Park. Like in this city, there is no green spaces.
No. Dave, what would you do if you had the power?
I like the beach idea. He had the big sea. I like having the sea there. Everyone gets a beach house. Do you think that no one needs to work in this world because he can just make everything happen? Can he make and provide food and power and stuff?
Maybe.
I suppose so. They made food on the table for them people that weren't rich and then became rich.
I was so confusing that scene. I didn't know. That's when I was like, why are they doing this? What's the purpose?
Well, because they're constantly changing the world, and so
Why?
You have the two married characters. You're going to have a constant in the next experiment where they're still married, they still have the same kid, but now they're no longer destitute. They're like super rich. And then you study how their behavior changes.
They could have just played The Sims. They type in Rosebud.
Is that a movie you would rather watch?
No,
like a bunch of aliens playing The Sims.
Yeah, and they're like Garrett, what's going on over? Oh, Mr. Face, Mr. Finger, what's going on over there? He's like, I've typed in Rosebud, and they've all got lots of money now, so they're enjoying themselves. Yeah, write that down. I'll be like, obviously, if they've got a better lifestyle, they might be all right. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know how that's helping them in the long run.
Maybe they're watching like their morals. Like, do they become more corrupt because they've got money now?
Yeah, but why?
Because there's like anything. Scientists have got a science, and they want to know the ins and outs and the workings. It's like the same as if we, as a civilization, found an alien. You know, you're gonna like prod and test and cut it open probably to find out how it works, and it's the same sort of thing.
I think one of the faults of this movie is I think it would have worked better if William Hurt's character had been the protagonist. Because I think in a lot of noir films, we're following the detective, and the things happen to the detective, and he drives the story. And in this one, we've got Rufus Sewell, who I would argue is a little less interesting. He's Harry Pottered it. He was in the right place, right time, circumstances to get his Neo abilities. And he not especially worth it by any means. Like, if it had gone properly, he would have been a killer, and then they could have had that going on. Whereas the William Hurt character is set up to be the one exploring this crime, and doesn't seem to be doing much of that. But I think he did good being like a noir detective. He's very stoic. He's very deadpan. I thought he had more of a connection with Emma than
100% than Rufus Sewell did. Or John, the character's name.
Yeah.
I was also I think I was more interested in the William Hurt character. He tells this story about an accordion, and he's like, oh, my grandmother gave it to me, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like really important to him. But he's like, I can't even remember when she gave it to me. Like, you think I'd remember something like that? And I'm like, I'm more invested in this little story than I am in the whole of John's story.
Although I do feel you are biased because of your William Hurt obsession.
Yeah, obviously.
I tell you something. The only thing I liked about this, the only fun little detail I liked about this film was Uncle Carl. Uncle Carl was played by John. What's he called? John Baffoul. Is that his name? He is a British actor. I was sitting next to Nat, and I was like, I know that face. Eowyn? No, it's not Eowyn. It's the guy from Vicar of Dibley. It's a British show about a vicar who goes to this new countryside village, and then there's all these like old people that she has to deal with and stuff. And I was like, it must be him. It can't be him. I don't know if it is. He's wonderful actor. He's like got this really strong, like, is it like a Brooklyn accent? I don't know.
Oh, in this movie.
And then we Googled it, and
I
then
wouldn't
that
have
was
guessed
like,
he was British.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was so good. And then like Nat Googled it, and she was like, "Oh my god, it is him!" So I was like, "What a chameleon!"
And also, well done to you, because that was such a good spot. I would have never put two together.
I was too confused with everything else. I was like, I'm just going to hone in on just if I know that person's face. They're probably giving out some really strong like backstory or storytelling that I should be listening to, but I'm like, I know that man.
I don't have it noted as this, but the trope of noir is the mysteries are confusing. Like, I enjoy like The Big Sleep and The Maltese Falcon, all these like old Humphrey Bogart films. I don't remember most of the mystery in it. I remember the sort of neat, fun details, but the mystery, oftentimes becomes the least interesting part of the noir.
Well, it's usually more about, like you say, like the lead detective's like own psychology almost, and like is he going to go into like despair at trying to solve it rather than what he's actually solving? Yeah,
and that's why it comes down to like I think a less interesting choice that he isn't the protagonist of this. I mean, maybe that's the idea, to like turn it on its head and do something like different.
You'd want to be like, oh, he's obviously seen his colleague and what he's now become, so it's like him trying to fight against becoming like a madman almost.
Yeah,
like it would have been like that more than like they could have gone in a different way with the protagonist, definitely.
But I wanted to get to one last character who which is Kiefer Sutherland playing Dr. Schreiber. I think that might be how you pronounce it. He's like the one of the other humans in this world that knows what's going on. Through most of it, his loyalties are just very unclear. Like, it's hard to figure out, is he good or is he bad? And I think it's not until the very end, whenever he implants the final memory into Rufus Sewell, that he like is very much helping him figure out how to win this battle.
Yeah.
Matt, did you also dislike his character?
Yeah, more just because of like his delivery of lines is like he's like an asthmatic that's been on a jog.
He likes his little swimming pool, though. He likes his little swimming pool.
Yeah, he does like a little swimming pool, yes. But yeah, I hate it when delivery of lines is too slow, and that to me was it was hard going.
It was.
He had so many, he had character traits. Like, I felt like he was like, my character is gonna have a squinty eye and he's gonna breathe after every word. It's gonna make you exhausted.
We watched it with Jason, and he said he was almost like the kid from Malcolm in the Middle.
But I did like his little like health spa that he like goes into, because
they have an aversion to water, and I'm like, all aliens hate water. Is that like a thing now? Like signs, they're like, we don't like water.
Maybe that is what they actually learned at Area 51, and that's
why it's all these movies.
Yeah, this is the one thing we actually know about aliens, is they hate water. Rufus Sewell figures out the mystery, and he's going to go to Shell Beach. Like, he's gone to Uncle Carl. Uncle Carl has also been put in there to take him, like, lead him off the path, but he has to get back to Shell Beach. And so we join forces with Rufus Sewell and Emma and John Hurt, and they all get to, and the doctor, and they get to the beach, and they get to this billboard for the beach. They tear it open, and what do they find? Space. Were you guys surprised?
I was a bit surprised. It reminded me of an X-Files episode that I watched where the Monica Reyes character's in a dollhouse, and then she like goes out the front door and it's like floating in space, and I was like, oh, it's just like that. So I had a little flashback to X-Files. Yes, I was surprised. The opening of the billboard made me feel like it was like the Truman Show, where he gets to the end of the water and he's like confronted by the wall. So I did have a few little Truman Show tropes, I felt like. But yeah, I was generally surprised. I was more upset when William Hurt hurtled out into space and met his demise.
Apparently they added that force field after like the initial viewing of it. People were so concerned about the dark city being just open to space that they had to digitally add in that, oh no, they go through a force field. So at the end, they're going to be protected within this force field.
Because when they broke through, I was like, how's all the oxygen staying in?
Well, more so at the end, after he recreates the world, the entire city is just surrounded by water now. Mm-hmm. And it just like stays in solution in space. So I guess that's what our force field does. But we've also got the final showdown with the strangers. For me, that felt a little less memorable
And it was anticlimactic. They'd already had a bigger fight earlier in the movie, which was more memorable, I felt like, where they were going down the side of a building. So the end fight was very nondescript almost. And like, even thinking about it now, I'm like, he didn't even kill Richard O'Brien, did he? He kind of just flew off.
He wasn't fighting Richard O'Brien. He was fighting the other guy.
Oh, what, the tall one, Mr. Wall?
Yeah. No, but all of the strangers kind of float up into the atmosphere after this big fight. Except Mr. Hand seems to still be around because he has like a final moment with John Murdoch where he basically says, humans are beyond our comprehension. I can't even, like, I'm going to die now because I can't handle being human. So props to all of us for surviving being human. We are the heroes of our own stories. So with that, let's go, as we always do, with our sum-ups of the film and favorite and least favorite characters. Nat, did you have a favorite and least favorite character?
I picked William Hurt as my favorite character, which I think is of no surprise to anybody. Not just because it's William Hurt, but I found his character more endearing. I didn't want anything to happen to him, and yet he was the one character that died out of our like protagonist trio. But yeah, I would have gladly watched a movie more about his character and his workings of like finding out about the case and things like that. My worst was the Kiefer Sutherland doctor character, for all the reasons that we said before. I felt like he was too much of a minion that needed to just be like, he could have been set up as like this guy that was helping them, but at some point in the movie they should have got fed up with him a lot quicker and dispatched of him.
How about you, Dave?
Favorite character, Bruce Spence. He is the guy who
Uncle Carl.
No, that's not him. This is
Oh.
Zedeckis Allsrounder.
This is Mr. Wall.
Mr. Wall.
Who?
Richard.
The tall one of the strangers.
Yeah, he's just like, I just like the actor, so it was nice to see him. And yeah, Kiefer Sutherland, he can go do one. He was awful in this movie. I felt like this film, all the actors, if I said, oh, you were great in Dark City, they'd be like, what film? And I'd be like, Dark City. They'd be like, I can't remember what's that about. And I'd be like, I don't know either. And then so no, yeah, Kiefer Sutherland. I agree with
you. So angry.
I'm full of rage for this film looking back on it. But no, I agree with Nat. Like Kiefer Sutherland, he should have done like when the bad guy should have had enough of him and just killed him off because he was flapping around.
So my favorite also is John Hurt in this. I thought he did a really good job.
Mean William?
Yes. Oh, John Hurt. John Hurt is an actor.
Yeah, from Alien.
Yeah. William Hurt. My favorite character is William Hurt. I think the film could have benefited from him being the protagonist as well. My one major critique of his character was his name. It was like Bumstead. I thought that was like took me out of it a little bit. My least favorite, originally, I think when I finished watching it, I was going to also go with Kiefer Sutherland for a lot of his acting choices. But then in writing my notes down today, I came to the conclusion that he was, like, character-wise, he was the one who was sort of creating all these human scenarios. And I was like, oh, I kind of like it that he's the author of every story in Dark City. And that's, like, there's a ton of people there. That's a lot. Maybe he deserves his little spa baths every night. And so I picked John Murdoch because I didn't think he was worthy of being our Neo in this. In spite of not caring for this film, Dave, did you have a scene that you, like a look or a scene or anything that you liked in it?
None at all. I despise this film.
No, that's not true. There's one I can think of for both of us that we had a good laugh about. Well, apart from the credits, there's a scene where John hangs one of the strangers. Like he falls off and he gets hung. And then we're like, later on they reveal that they can fly. And we're like, well, why? Why did he not just fly? So then when we knew they could fly, we were laughing about that for a bit.
I think my favorite was the scene that Dave didn't care for, which was the poor couple turning into the rich couple, because I thought it did sort of narrative shorthand for kind of showing how that they were doing these experiments. Whether or not it worked, Obviously for Dave, it really didn't work, but for me it did. I thought it was interesting. So, in spite of all of that, let's get to our final ratings.
I can't wait for this one.
We do limes and lemons. I do lemons because it's the superior fruit, and these other two do limes. I don't know. So I'm gonna save Dave for second because I'm actually I have no idea what Natalie's gonna say. I have a vague idea of what Dave will say. Natalie, what did you give?
I'm going to give it a 0.75. It definitely doesn't deserve to be a 1. I feel like I could see what they were going for, and the concept should have been a really good movie, but I don't feel like it was executed in a way that I enjoyed it. Like, it had elements that I feel like if they'd have been handled differently, I would have enjoyed, but I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't get, like, the love between Emma and John, which I know was obviously fabricated, but it wasn't compelling enough for me to care. The William Hurt character should have been given a lot more screen time, and I'd have loved to follow his narrative. And like I said, it was just too dark. I couldn't see what was going on, so if I can't see it, I don't care about it.
Dave?
I'm going to give it... I think Nat was being too generous there. I'm giving it a solid 0 out of 5. It was... Every 10 minutes, I thought, surely this is going to make sense, and it just never did. It was just like, too dark. Didn't know what was going on. The only bit I liked was how it started with the goldfish, and that was it. And I was like, oh, this is it was like, oh, this is an interesting concept starting point. And then after that, I was like, no, it was like he met up with his wife far too quick, and it was I don't know what this film was trying to be, and it felt like I was watching a sequel to a film that I should have watched the first one.
I can kind of get that.
I had no idea what was going on. Not a film for me.
All I
Apologies
hear
for those
is
people.
Dave has to get some curtains, and you guys have to watch it again.
Yeah, I have to watch it again with some curtains so I could see the film.
Or at night time.
Nighttime
also works.
I just like I don't know why.
You don't have to like everything.
No, I tried.
I on their hand. No, it doesn't sound like you did, but.
What's your score, Danielle?
Thank you for asking. I am the dissenting vote here. I'm going to give it a 3.5. I think it's got some
5.
3.5. Calm down.
I just heard 5.
Oh, I only heard the 5. Yes.
I think I liked the look and the feel, and I was okay being confused. There are things that I would change in it, but it's not one of my favorite films. It's not one I'm going to watch a ton, but I do not criticize Danielle of 1998 for buying the DVD.
Hey, I've got some terrible DVDs that I might want to buy this. So no judgment here.
So with that, thank you all for listening, and it's a goodbye from me.
Bye-bye from me.
Bye.